Hi, this is Hanson reading to you a book and wisdom by Ajahn Chah. Reflections of No Ajahn Chah. The offer of Dhamma is a gift to others as freely as it has been offered to you. Once there was a layman who came to Ajahn Chah and asked him who Ajahn Chah was. Ajahn Chah, seeing that the spiritual development of the individual was not very advanced, pointed to himself and said, This is Ajahn Chah. On another occasion, Ajahn Chah was asked the same question by someone else. This time, however, seeing that the questioner's capacity to understand the Dhamma was higher, Ajahn Chah answered by saying, Ajahn Chah, there is no Ajahn Chah. When people would say to Ajahn Chah that they found it impossible to practice in society, he would ask them, If I poked you in the chest with a burning stick, would you say that indeed you were suffering, but since you live in society you can't get away from it? Ajahn Chah's response makes a point not unlike the Buddha's parable of the poisoned arrow. The Buddha tells of a man who had been shot by an arrow and would not let anyone pull it out until his questions about the arrow, the bow, and the archer were all answered. The only problem was that the wounded man would probably die before he could get the replies to all of his questions. What the wounded man had to realize that he was in pain and dying, and he should do something about that right away. Ajahn Chah emphasized this point over and over again in his teachings. You're suffering. Do something about it now. He wouldn't spend much time talking about peace, wisdom, or nibbanic states, but rather the practice of constantly being aware of what was happening within the body and mind in the present moment, learning how to simply watch and let go. Meditation, he'd say, was not getting things, but getting rid of things. Even when asked about the peace that one could attain through practice, he would instead rather speak of the confusion that one should get rid of. For as he put it, peace is the end of confusion. This collection reflects not only on suffering and meditation practice, but also gives us some insight into impermanence, virtue, non-self, and so on. We hope that the reader will take this little book as a companion and good friend for moments of quiet reflection, and perhaps get a glimpse of the No Ajahn Chah who used to say, I'm always talking about things to develop and things to give up, but really, there's nothing to develop and nothing to give up. Birth and death. A good practice is to ask yourself very sincerely, why was I born? Ask yourself this question in the morning, in the afternoon, and at night every day. Our birth and death are just one thing. You can't have one without the other. It's a little funny to see how at death people are so tearful and sad, and at birth how happy and delighted. It's delusion. I think if you really want to cry, then it would be better to do so when someone's born. Cry at the root, for if there were no birth, there would be no death. Can you understand this? You'd think that people could appreciate what it would be like to live in a person's belly? How uncomfortable that would be. Just look at how merely staying in a hut for only one day is already hard to take. You shut all the doors and windows and you're suffocating already. How would it be to lie in a person's belly for 9 months? Yet, you want to be born again. You know it wouldn't be comfortable in there, and yet you want to stick your head right in there to put your neck in the nose once again. Why are we born? We are born so that we will not have to be born again. When one does not understand death, life can be very confusing. The Buddha told his disciple Ananda to see impermanence, to see death with every breath. We must know death, we must die in order to live. What does this mean? To die is to come to the end of all our doubts, all our questions, and just be here with the present reality. You can never die tomorrow. You must die now. Can you do it? If you can do it, you will know the peace of no more questions. Death is as close as our breath. If you have trained properly, you wouldn't feel frightened when you fall sick, nor upset when someone dies. When you go into the hospital for treatment, determine in your mind that if you get better, that's fine, and that if you die, that's fine too. I guarantee you that if the doctors told me I had cancer and was going to die in a few months, I'd remind the doctors, watch out, because death is coming to get you too. It's just a question of who goes first and who goes later. Doctors are not going to cure death or prevent death. Only the Buddha was such a doctor. So why not go ahead and use the Buddha's medicine? If you're afraid of illnesses, if you are afraid of death, then you should contemplate where they come from. Where do they come from? They arise from birth. So don't be sad when someone dies. It's just nature, and his suffering in this life is over. If you want to be sad when people are born. Oh no, they've come again. They're going to suffer and die again. The one who knows clearly knows that all conditioned phenomena are unsubstantial. So this one who knows does not become happy or sad, for it does not follow changing conditions. To become glad is to be born. To become dejected is to die. Having died, we are born again. Having been born, we die again. This birth and death, from one moment to the next, is the endless spinning wheel of samsara.